Okay, we left off last week in the Simon Ches, Sif Yotes. Mechaber says, Sulam Shalaliya, the ladder they used to use to go up to the second floor. Shu Gadol, it's big, V'asu Latiach Bargag, and it's meant to tar the roofs. Also, you're not allowed to move it on Shabbos. The ladder they used to use was a smaller ladder they used to use for the shevach for the bird houses. That you're allowed to move from one place to the next. You shouldn't move it from one birdhouse to the other one. You shouldn't do the way you usually do it. If you want to use it for something else, you can use it for something else. But to carry it from one shevach to the next shevach, from one birdhouse to the next one, the way you do it during the week, you may end up coming to Bitzad because you're doing things that you usually do during the week.
Come to hunt.
So the Magen Avram says over here, what's the Isser by the Sulam Shel Aliyah? Why is it Muktzah? Why is it Asal Tal Taloi? So says the Magen Avram, She'ein Olav Teretz Kli. It doesn't have a Shem Kli. The ladder that's used to go up and down to the roof doesn't have a Teretz Kli. It's not called a Kli. Therefore, you're not allowed to be metaltal. You're not allowed to move it. And then the Magen Avram says, "V'nirli the time of the havik echad medalsas abayis." The reason why it's muktzah for shebasafti sivches payin siv beis. What does the Magen Avram mean over here? The issa over here, tiltal, to move that big ladder. The Magen Avram wants to tell you there's no issa because it's too heavy. When it says payin siv beis, in siv beis, the Magen Avram spoke out that if you have a kli, something that is a kli, no matter how big it is, and it's very hard to move it because of it. It doesn't become muktzah because of that. Even though you never move it, but because of that, it doesn't become muktzah. You don't move it because it's heavy. The Mishnah Berurah brought down also. It's really the Kol Kli, Kol Kli, Afilu Godol, V'Kover Harbe, Lo Nizbato Sham Kli Memenu, Lo B'fnei Goydloi, Lo B'fnei Koydloi. Not because it's big, and not because it's heavy. So because of that, this ladder cannot become muktzah. So why is the ladder muktzah? Says the Magen Avram, because it's like Echad Midal Seis Habayis. It's like one of the doors in the house. A door in the house is muktzah. Why? Because it's part of the house. It's like the mechubal l'karka. It's not a kli. It loses its shem kli. Now, of course, it's not open and close the door on Shabbos because that's what it's meant for. But it doesn't have a shem kli. So the same thing over here. This ladder, you're allowed to use it to go up and down the ladder if you want. But also, not allowed to move it. Why? Because it is like one of the doors of the house. So, not really negated today, this sif. I mean, all step stools and all ladders that we use today are not muktzah. Even the ladder that we use today, a regular ladder, is not muktzah. Because it's not echamot alsas abayis. It's not part of the house. You store it wherever you want and you carry it around with you, wherever you want to use it. So ladders today are not muktzah. The regular kelim, you may want to call it klisham lachal isser, it could be, but it's not.
You're allowed to use on Shabbos?
You're allowed to use it on Shabbos. A ladder, today's ladders, you're allowed to use on Shabbos because they're a kli. They're called a kelim. They're not attached to the house. You want to say maybe it's a klisham lachal isser? Fine. A klisham lachal isser is mutal tzarech kufa tzarech mekayma. If you want to use it, you're allowed to use it.
Right, so for example, if you want to use the ladder to get up to the top of the bookshelf to get a sink.
Yeah, it's mutter.
Right, because then you're using it in fact for
a proper tzarech kufa.
Right.
Yeah, they have the ladders, some of the bookshelves and that are attached.
Right. That would be a problem.
Those could be muktzah, but if they're on the hinges that they're on, it's not different than a door.
Right.
To move it on the hinges on the thing that it's
On the
on,
sliders.
that'll be mutter. On the sliders, that's like a regular door.
If it came off, then you'd have a
If
problem.
it came off, you'd have a problem.
Just like a door.
Right. Right.
A door.
So from the
Correct.
Mishnah Berurah, it's mashma that it's mutter anyway, because lo yosel l'meim lo tiach gagoy l'tzorah. That's the reason.
Our
Yeah,
ladders
it
say,
says, Soloma sheba ba she'asuin lo talton l'zavus l'tzorah ke'ezeh tashvish lo yosel l'meim lo tiach gagoy l'tzorah. So he's saying it's mutter,
from a deer,
else that it's not one that you're going to use to do whatever you're doing on the roof.
yeah, but this, one second. Later Rambam, the Issa over here is a different Issa. Right? The Magen Avraham brings down from the Rambam, the Issa is because Havak Echem Adalsas Abayis. It's not a Kli B'chal. That's why it's Muktzah. The Sulam that you have, that you carry around in the house, maybe it's a Gzeira, it looks like you're going to Matiach Echad Medalsas, you're going to Matiach the Gav.
Right.
That's already after you don't have the Rambam's problem. After you don't have the Rambam's problem, it's not a Kli B'chal, then you may have an issue, it looks like you're going to Matiach Gagoy, so it's Asr. And that would be the same din as Mishoivich L'Shoivich, that it's Asr. It's a Kli, but still, it's certain things you're not allowed to do with the ladder on Shabbos. But something that's in the Rambam's category, that it's not a Kli at all, that already is Asr. No matter what, it's not a Kli. It's important to know, we'll see soon in the next Sifrim, that something that's very big and heavy doesn't make it not until a Kli. You have to come up to a reason why it's not a Kli. Okay, Sifchov. In the next couple of Sifrim, there's halachas that are not really negaya to us, because there are some things we learn out of it, but most of the halachas are not negaya to us, because the next couple of Sifrim are talking about things that are not really clear, you want to use it for something else. Today, and we've spoken this out before, you don't find anything that people use that's not a kli. Today we have keli for everything. Very rare that you find that a person's going to take a stick and use it for a kli. Very rare that you'll find it. So let's see what it says over here. It happens to be in the summer. It does happen more often when you go to the mountains and you go to the cottages and you're in. There you do use stones and sticks for stuff on Shabbos to sit on or to lean on. So we'll see. Let's see the halachas over here. So chiriyos, these branches, chirish anofim shadekel, shekoitis of the sreifa. You cut them to use them for a fire. Muktzam hem dem muktzah. So right away it says over here shekoitis on the sreifa. It's important to know. See the Magen Avraham speaks to that later. That and the Magen Avraham speaks to that right here also. Sifcham lamatetz. Shekoitis on the sreifa. Mashma shestama lo yasiri. Ayin sif chaf aleph. That means you cut them with sreifa. You took these branches before Shabbos. You cut them down because you want to use it for burning. But if you cut branches down before Shabbos Stam, then lav dafka it's for sreifa. That's not muktzah at all, because you can use it for whatever you want. Here we're talking about, this sieve is talking about, you cut it with sreifa. You cut it to use it for a fire. Muktzah hem, the muktzah of asal taltalam, you're not allowed to be metal to them. But yoshev aleim ma'atem boyim, you sat on them boyim a little bit. Muta leishav aleim b'Shabbos. You're allowed to sit on them on Shabbos. V'kol shchenim koshram liyashav aleim. If you tie them together in order to sit on them, oy im chishev aleim boyim leishav aleim afilu b'chol. Or if you had in mind to use it to sit on it. Now, there's three things here in the Sif. We'll get into these things more next week. But there's three ways of making this thing usable on Shabbos. One way the Mechaber says is, if you sat on it, you happen to have sat on it during the week. You cut them on Friday, and Friday afternoon you sat on these pieces of wood. You had no machshava what you're going to use it for. It was taka for sreifa, but you sat on it Erev Shabbos. That's one way of making these pieces of wood usable to sit on Shabbos.
So when you cut them down, though, you knew you were going to use them as
The sreifa. And you didn't change your mind.
Yeah.
You just happened to have sat down on it Erev Shabbos. then you're allowed to sit on it on Shabbos also.
You're allowed to use it only for like sitting.
No, metaltal. It's not
You're
muktzah.
allowed metaltal.
Yeah, it's correct.
The whole idea of Miguris Katsoi is that you designate it for, there's some machshava that's needed, no? Just you stand sitting on it. How does that?
No, because I used it for something else. I used it. You really did a machshava. Once I did a mice, I did an action. I did an action. Action is very important.
Right, but
You did an action. Even though I didn't have a mind that for now I'm going to use it for sitting. But I did an action of sitting, that's enough over here. Because it's not enough in every case. Over here it's enough, and once it did that action of sitting down on it, it's enough to make it not muktzah. We spoke, right, if you have a stone, you want to use it for a door stopper. Right? And you use it for a door stopper before Shabbos, lav dafka, that action is going to be enough to make it not muktzah. Right? Here, we're saying that if you cut them, the sreifa, just sitting on it, that action is enough to make it not muktzah. And the reason why this sif is different than everything else is because when you cut them, the reason why it became muktzah is because you had a machshav on the sreifa. If you want to cut it stam, it wouldn't be muktzah. So your machshava made it muktzah. That's not as strong as a muktzah as something that's intrinsically muktzah. A rock is intrinsically muktzah because there's no usage, it's not a kli, it's muktzah. When you cut down a piece of wood from a tree, it's not intrinsically muktzah. Your machshava made it muktzah. Therefore, if you sat on it at Shabbos, it becomes not muktzah anymore, even without a machshava.
What if your kid sat on it? So, but you had a machshava saying, okay, let them sit on it. You know, like you're
If someone else sat on it.
yeah.
Perhaps it's totally in the Bible. The owner.
Right, but still.
Or his name is Shpach
It's
is
your
enough.
because you're watching them sit on it and you're saying it's okay. You know, like your machshava is saying.
No, then you have machshava already. Then you have machshava, you can use it for yeshiva, it's even better.
Yeah,
Right,
it says
that's what I'm
Chashav
That's even better. Because we said over here that if you sit on it, it's not muktzah. The kolshkin, if you tie them up, the yeshiva, it's not muktzah. Or if you had a machshava.
Okay.
So machshava is even better than just sitting on it. Because sitting on it is an action which doesn't show that you're changing it. You just sat on it. You didn't do a ma'aseh, you didn't do an action in the piece of wood itself to change it. We'll see later on. If you do an action in the piece of wood to change it, that's much better. This Yashav Olav Ma'adiyim is without a machshava, you sat on it, and here it's enough because the only reason why it's muktzah to begin with is because you had a machshava on the sreifa. So those are three things. Yashva leim ma'atim b'ayim, mutar leishav leim Shabbos v'kolshkin em koshem leishav leim, or em chitchav leim b'ayim, leishav leim afilu b'chol. It's all ways of making it not muktzah. Says the Magen Avraham. Continuation of Lamates. Zmoira. So here's a new halacha the Magen Avraham puts in over here. Zmoira sheyesh b'reisha achmumis ki'en mazleg. A piece of a twig. It has at the end, it's like bent, like a fork. Sheroy litlis boy gli. You could use it to attach it to a dli, to a bucket. For the malis boy, you use it to fill it up with water. Even though you had in mind in the Erev Shabbos to use it to fill it up with it, also the malis boy Shabbos. So now, really, the machshava should help. That should be muktzah. Still, also the malas by Shabbos, Elev ken hayikshura b'dli me'erev Shabbos. Unless it was already attached to the dli me'erev Shabbos, the chashinon shema tia arucha yiktemeno. The chashish, maybe if you're going to try to attach it on Shabbos, it's going to be too long, and you're going to cut it. B'teich shehi raka. V'noicha lichtan, and it's easy to cut it. V'nimtza oisekli. You're making a kli and chayv was a makav patish. So here, it's a new gzeir the Magen Avraham brings down over here, brings down from the Gemara, that if you find a twig on Shabbos, or a piece of wood, a branch, you want to use it for, and before Shabbos, you had in mind you can use it to attach it to the bucket. It's awesome. Why? For a different reason, not because of muktzah. It's a reason because with skid you can end up cutting it down to the right size, and that's also on Shabbos. So any time you have something you want to use on Shabbos, which is not used before Shabbos at all for that usage, but the first time you use it, you may have to fix it to make it usable, also on Shabbos. I don't know what's on the Gil Lamaisa today, but if you have such a case, then it's also because you may make it usable on Shabbos, and it's Makar Badish. Gemara, the more brings it down also. Mashma Shama Gemara, Mechubal L'Karka, Afil L'Mata Megimel, also L'Eshtamish Memenu, Elim Ken Kosher. V'Lei Mahani Machshava, Ayin Siman La'ashan Lamadvav. Here's another problem with something that's, anyway, if it's attached, if the twig is attached, so it's Mechubal L'Karka. So it's Mechubal L'Karka, anyway, you're not allowed to move it on Shabbos. Any tree is a muktzah on Shabbos. It's more a muktzah, it's also to use it even. A regular muktzah you're allowed to use, but you're not allowed to move. A tree is also to use on Shabbos, not just to move it. It's a separate issur, it's Shalom Advav.
Even to touch it, a tree?
Even to touch it. A tree not allowed to touch on Shabbos.
You can't lean up against a tree?
Correct, not allowed to lean on a tree on Shabbos. That sounds like a chiddush, but that's halacha. You're not allowed to lean on a tree on Shabbos, you want to tie your shoe, and you need a place to lean on. You're better off leaning on a car than on a tree. People say, don't lean on the car, you move the car, we'll see soon. It's better to lean on a car than to lean on a tree. Because a tree also l'ishtamish boy. You're not allowed to use it. Regular muktzah, you're allowed to use, you're not allowed to move.
We don't make enough community between, let's say, the trunk of the tree versus the branches, because the branches...
You can move.
No, there's no difference.
But trunk is something big and...
It doesn't make a difference. You're not allowed to be mishtamish be'ilan. You're not allowed to use a tree, even though it's not moving.
So if you have a tree house...
It's also
Kids can't...
I just saw yesterday, I was sitting at someone's house, saw my Shabbos Semicha brachos, and all these kids and angels were outside the house, and they were climbing up and down the trees. I wanted to tell them something, you know what? After Shabbos. Well, I don't like getting involved. Hammock's a big problem, we'll see. Hammock's a big problem, depends how it's attached to the tree.
Right.
Sidei tztodem is mutter. That means if you have a nail in a tree, and you want to hang something on a nail, maybe it's mutter. Because you're using something that's using the tree. But if you tie the string of the hammock straight to the tree, that's also. Then you can't use it. Swings. People tie swings to the branch of a tree. Right? You're not used to swing on Shabbos. Because you're using a tree. That's Isha Stamshus Be'ilan.
But now if you are putting the thing on the swings on the tree, you are not using the tree, you're using the swings.
No,
they are attached as a nail.
That's called Stodim. It's also. So also, Sidei Stodim, beside it, I mean, it's a nail, which is something that's attached to a nail of a tree, that may be mutter.
So we had that, in fact, the Morgan Avram is going to say later, the Mukta also b'negia.
That's Mukta, not a tree.
So tree is the exception to the rule.
Yes.
Normally, we always grow up saying don't touch, don't touch. I mean, normally by muktzah you can touch anything.
You can touch muktzah. You're allowed to use muktzah. We'll get to it. You're allowed to use muktzah on Shabbos. You're not allowed to move muktzah on Shabbos.
Right. So, but we're saying
a tree is different.
You can't even touch.
A tree is also l'shtamish. It's also to use it.
Is it in the category of muktzah, or is it just a separate?
No, it's worse than muktzah.
Yeah, so it's a separate prohibition.
It's a separate thing. A tree is a separate thing. A tree is an issur of Shema Yalav Yitlosh. It's exactly, you may go up and pull something off the tree. It's awesome. So it's the famous thing with the bushes and everything. So much jacket falls in the bushes on Shabbos, you can't take it off. A ball falls in the bush on Shabbos, and I'll take it out. It's also the Shtamish b'mechubal l'karka. Unless it's 3 tefachim from the ground. That's what he's saying over here. If it's 3 tefachim to the ground, the bottom 3 tefachim, you're allowed to use it. Because there was no gzeira.
So then a bush would be...
Which is more than 3 tefachim.
Right, and the problem is you have to go through the country.
Yeah, bushes are serious issue on Shabbos. I don't know why it's not so known, but it's a before Shalach, it's not involved. If
it's within 3 tefachim, you still can't move it. You see a ball,
that's a question if it's,
ball at the bottom of the bush.
That's the question if it's muktzah or not. That's what he's saying over here. That's what the Morgan Rav finishes over here. It says, "Umash b'sham gemara the mechubel karka afilu l'mat megimel osla shtamish imeno and then became kosher because of muktzah." There's a problem with muktzah. But if it's the ma'alim, it's ma'alim gimel. It's the last sif in Shinam Dvav. No, the last sif, the last sif. Also, the stamach with study ilan. You're not going to use study ilan. If you also lismei chasuva mitzidei ilan. Yeah. First one, Chamas, it's an amad vos with the gimel. Beforehand.
Is about talk over kosher beiman, mikra tzedadi hoiman.
Yeah, Mechatz Mechabed, it's an amad vos, Ivalov. Ein Eilim ilan, bein lach, bein yavesh, bein little boy, you can't lean on it, bein mishtamshe, bein mechubel l'chaka klal. You're not going to use mechubel l'chaka at all. Zeh Yishem Yalav Yifnish. It's also.
What sif is that?
Sif Aleph. It's an amad vos, Sif Aleph. Shri is also, that was open and shri.
So if you're up in the mountains, for example, and let's say you're taking a walk in the woods,
Right.
that's problematic, right? I mean, like,
Why?
because you might,
It depends what you're walking on as well. It's not
you're walking is fun, but there's trees all around you, sometimes you
Yeah,
touch them.
you can't touch them, be careful.
Sometimes it's hard to avoid.
Yeah, you have to be careful.
Sometimes even walking on the street, sometimes overhanging branches on the
Yeah,
street.
you have to be careful. You can't push it away.
So you just avoid the
Yeah, you take that.
I have this all the time. You don't. They turn to the side. You can't push it away. You can't push it away.
That's why it's called ducking.
Elon is
But the first part of Sifalov doesn't say touch, it says in oil and beeling.
a little boy. You can't hang anything there.
Then, okay, but I was looking for Nagia.
You wonder if you're allowed to touch it by mistake.
Yeah.
What are you touching it for? Feel it?
I don't know. The Rebbe just said you want to tie your shoelace.
No, that's been mishtamish. It's not here. That's mishtamish boy. Not just that. If you go over a tree, the question is allowed to come down, right?
It says the measure you can come down.
It's the question allowed to come down because the mishtamish be able to get back down.
Can you call the fire department?
It's also, in anything you find it a lot. In anything you find it a lot. If someone put, right? So you put something, there you go. You can change it 2,000 amas. So there's a shiloh if you put a piece of bread on a tree,
Right.
if it's good or not. What's a shiloh? Because you can't take it down on Shabbos. Taking something down from a tree on Shabbos is called being mishtamash b'ilam. And it's also to take it down. You're not allowed to take something off a tree either on Shabbos. That's called being mishtamash b'ilam.
How come using the shade of an elan isn't called being mishtamesh b'elan?
That's another maybe.
Well, that's a question.
No, that's
Can you have enough from the shade?
You have enough on the shade, yes.
Why?
It's not called mishtamash b'ilam. It's not direct mishtamash from the ilam. I have a question.
Yeah.
But it's not called a direct mishtamash b'ilam, no.
You see, by Tuma, it is a factor.
Yeah. But in Shabbos, it's not called mishtamash b'ilam. Told me the Zaysham Yalav Yitlash. Using the shade, I guess that.
Can you have a shade,
If
use
you-
shade from the
yeah,
bottle?
if you
No,
pluck, you're gonna have less
you
shade.
can't use the shade.
You are?
If you're plucked, you're gonna have less shades. Of course you
Yeah,
don't.
you're not going to do it.
Yeah, well, maybe that's why.
No, you still.
Okay, so we have a sidetracked over here. Yeah, so that's what the Magen means over here, that it's muktzah, even though it's Lamata Megimel, you have to be careful with muktzah. From that Sif Chaf of Chiriya, Shedekal. Sif Chaf Aleph says, Aval Nitbach Shalavonim. Nitbach Shalavonim is a bunch of stones. Alpha Pisha Choshav Olav Bayoim, also Leishav Alayim. Even though you had a
Like a
machshav
wall
Bayoim,
of stones.
yeah, even though you had a machshav Bayoim to use them, also Leishav Alayim. On that you're not allowed to sit on Shabbos. Why? Elam came Limdum. Pirish Sidrum. Here already you have a problem with Muktzah. Why? Because machshava won't be enough for the stones. So if you look right away into the Magen of Ram, Sif Cotton Mem, also Leishav. So he says the Mishnah Mechiriya is Ikad the Kaimu, the Yeshiva of Ikad the Kaimu Leitzim. The Chirs who had it Sif Chaf, sometimes they use it for sitting, sometimes they use it for firewood. Over here, the Chirius is also because you had a machshava to use it for Sreifa. Shechat Samat Sreifa. Mefekach, machshavas yeshiva mitzir b'dei machshavas Sreifa. Aval nidbach shalavonim leka the koil yeshiva. Nidbach shalavonim, no one uses it yeshiva. Lefikach tzorech ma'isa lo'chiach shehen liyeshiva. Ve'im kein be'etzim shalonu nami be'inan ma'isa there also, you have to have a Maisa by our Eitzim. Why? Because they're not meant for yeshiva. So anything that's not meant for yeshiva, never meant for yeshiva, machshava won't be enough.
You have to do a
Machshava won't be enough.
So he makes an afkamina then between stones. We had Yud Zayin, we had Levanim. What do we say there?
No, they are bricks.
Yeah, so why?
No, bricks sometimes usually yeshiva. And Echrabi.
That's the point.
Yeah. Wow.
They were the ones that were left over.
Yeah. If it's set aside for building, it's muktzah.
Right.
If it's left over from building, they used to use it with yeshiva. And therefore, it was a muktzah.
And stone.
Stones, I guess, it wasn't that, they used the yeshiva.
And do we, there's a difference between, we're talking about a pile of stones versus sometimes you have these big boulders where you sit on seeing the...
A big boulder is not a kli.
But you can sit on it because it's just muktzah.
So we'll see if you can sit on it. You can sit because you're not moving it. You're just using it. You're not having mishtamish muktzah. You're not having mishtamish muktzah.
Yeah, in case you're walking through the forest, you can sit down on the stones.
On stones, not on trees. You can't sit down on trees. If you have a stump. Remember, I was in camp many years ago. There was a tree. They said there were a couple of them in the world. That the trunk went up, curved for like a couple of feet, then continued going up. And people used to sit on it. That was a place where we used to sit on, schmooze. That was awesome. It's a tree, and I'll sit on it.
Assuming it's more than 3 tefachim up.
Yeah, more than 3 tefachim off the ground.
So you said a stump, so a dead tree, same thing?
A stump is the same thing, yeah. You're better off sitting on a rock.
Stump also.
Stump is also in Chovot Karka. It's less than 3 tefachim. If it's less than 3 tefachim, then you can sit on it. Most of them aren't less than 3 tefachim.
But if you made a stump into a chair,
yeah, then
some people do that.
Then it's fine.
Carve it out and
Then it's fine. Then it's fine. They did something.
It's still attached.
Yeah, but you just carve it out.
Oh, you mean, how tall is it?
Sorry?
It's more than 3 tefachim high?
Yeah.
Could be tasa.
You could sit on it, but now
no,
it's
that could be tasa. No, that's tasa.
Is that
It's not there than a tree house.
right? So that's
Trees, you build steps on the way up. You make a whole tree house out of it.
right. Is that true even if the tree's been cut down? There's just the
If it's
stump.
less than 3 tefachim, you can sit on it.
So if it's very low, then you
Then
can.
you can sit on it, yeah.
Right.
So, but avonim are also muktzah. So if you're in a forest, you're taking a walk, and you want to sit down somewhere, you're better off sitting on a rock than a tree. And we'll see soon about the rock. If you move the rock when you sit on it, we'll get that in a second.
But this seif is talking about like more than one rock.
Yeah, a bunch of rocks together.
So one rock is okay?
No,
Or,
it's also muktzah. You're not sitting because you're not moving it. Different reason. You're not being metalpot. Let's say you want to move the rock over and sit in a different place. You can't do that
No, you have to do it before.
because the rock is muktzah.
Right.
It means already.
But if you want to sit in without moving it, it's okay.
But not a bunch of rocks. 'cause
It's
you're
not a bunch of
afraid-
rocks because you can move
You're
them.
afraid you're going to move.
We'll see in a second if it moves while you're sitting in it. Fine. Also, Lesher V'Layem, Elam came Limdum Pir Sidrum. So now the Mechaber is very important to note. The Mechaber is learning over here that when is it mutter to sit on them? Elam came Limdum means what? You set them up in a way you masader that you could sit on it. The heter is that once you masader it on Erev Shabbos, it's not muktzah anymore. Once you took those rocks and you set them up in a way that you can use it to sit on it, it's not muktzah anymore. So the Mechaber is learning, we'll see now, but they're used to it. The Mechaber is learning that the Sidrum is enough to make them not muktzah. Rashi's Mahalach in the Gemara, we'll see it in the Magen Avram soon, he goes with it, is the Sidrum does not mean that takes away the muktzah. Sidrum just means if you set it up before Shabbos, it's still muktzah, because that's not enough to make it not muktzah, but then you can sit on it. Because you masaded it before Shabbos, so then you have a place to sit. And sitting on it is mutter, because it's not being metal for muktzah. So the Mechaber learns, Elam Kem Syndrome means that you set it up and it's not muktzah anymore. So if on Shabbos you decide you want to take those rocks and move it someplace else, elsewhere, according to the Mechaber you could. We'll see soon, the Magen Avram holds you can't. He learned Sidrum means that you set it up in a way that you could sit on Shabbos. And now you're allowed to sit there on Shabbos because you're not moving it.
Is that because you made it from a non-kli to a kli? Why do we must have it?
According to the Mechaber.
Yeah.
According to the Mechaber, it's not a Kli, and Sidrum is enough to make it into a Kli. That's what the Mechaber holds. We'll see the Magen Avraham argues on that. So Elam came Sidrum, and then the Gemara finishes and he says, Haga, Yesh Oinu the din avonim kedin chirios v'chen iker. Avonim and chirios are the same exact thing, and even Chishav olav, even if you just had a mind to sit on it before Shabbos, it's enough. You don't have to do any ma'aser. That's what the Ramah says. So here's a very important Magen Avraham. Sifchat Mem Aleph. Yesh Oinu the din avonim. So now the Magen Avraham goes back and forth here. It's good to know that the Magen Avraham first tries to brings down the Ramah, what the Ramah says in a Mordechai. He argues on the Ramah's pshat in the Mordechai, and then he argues on the whole Mordechai. So there's three levels in the Magen Avraham. First he brings how the Ramah learned the Mordechai, and he argues on that, so it's not pshat in the Mordechai. And then he argues on the Mordechai itself. So let's see what he says. He's like this. This is the Lashon of Dr. Moshe, who's the Ramah on the tour. It's the same Ramah. So he writes over there, there's no chiluk between Chirius Shadekal and Avonim. Both of them are machshava works. They're only arguing about Chirius. You don't move the rocks when you sit on it, so it's not a problem. That is the Lashon of the Darkei Moshe. Says the Magen Avraham, how could you say they're not arguing by Avonim also? They're arguing Mefurish in the Gemara Kuf Chafei, even by Avonim. So he's saying this that the Magen Avraham says, that the Mordechai says that they're not arguing by Avonim, stones also machshava works, says not true. So what does the Mordechai mean? So he speaks out. The Mordechai means like this: anytime you don't move the rocks, you sit on them and you don't move them. The muktzah einay aser b'negiyah. Chamash chotzav v'rabbi pshitus. Chen chotzav rashi daf nun. V'zel l'shayna chiriyos. Tzorech v'kasher v'loy kasher asal taltam l'mochar. You're not allowed to move it, but you're allowed to sit on it. Chen chotzav kuf chav hey sidra avanim v'kdei shlein starach liga b'hem l'mochar. V'she'ein as the one in moil l'even lasas kli ad cham l'shayna. Harei, you see from over there, the mutter leishev aleim. You're allowed to sit on them, even though it's muktzah. So the Magen Avraham starts off with saying muktzah, that you sit on and you don't move it, is mutter. Muktzah is mutter b'negiyah. You're allowed to touch muktzah, you're allowed to sit on muktzah, you're allowed to use muktzah, you're not allowed to move it. So that's what the Mordechai means, that by Avonim there's no machlokes, because it's talking about a case where it's a big stone and you're not going to move it by sitting on it. But Allah Avashem Muktzah, Allah the Bechiriyos, Mistamach Sheyeshav Aleim Azizin, V'chein Asen. Aval Avonim Kshem Kvedim Mutter Leishav Aleim L'chul Yama, because it's not going to move. Aval Rambam, Mari Ba'avonim She'ein Gedolim. The Rambam that says that you have to do something to the stones in order to use them, it's talking about stones that aren't heavy. She'ein Gedolim Kol Kach. When you sit on them, Mazizan, you're going to move them. U'lechein aser, ela imkein aser behen ma'isa me'esmol. Unless you did a ma'isa, ch'mashkosa magen mishnah, v'sidru lehem, and they hold, v'cheshasidram have a ma'isa. When you mesader it, it is a ma'isa. So that's the way the Magen Avraham learns. He says, if it's a big stone, you sit on it, you don't move it, it's mutter. Small stones, where you move them, when you sit on them, that's the machlokes. Not like the Darkei Moshe who says that by Avonim nobody argues. The Magen Avraham is arguing that. And he says, no, like the Mechaber, that if it's Avonim, you have to do a Maisa. He holds that Sidram is a Maisa enough to make it now Muktzah, and now you can be Metaltal it. It says the Magen Avram, Mashmat HaKamosh Ken Asarosh, Ma'ir Gam Ken Yeshiva, She'enim Azizan, Aval Taltalon, Boy Maisa. Mashakos Avarosh, V'tshuva V'chem Mashmat Simcha Beis. Now he says, Umiyu Tzarech Ian. It's a very important Magen Avram over here. The Siman Shinyan Aleph, Sivches, Aminon, the Minaneya Hakash Begufo, we spoke about this once, Umutter Lishchav Olav, Umukolshkin Leishav Olav. The Magen Avram says that, what's Pshat the Mordechai? Mordechai says that if the stones are heavy and you don't move them, everyone agrees that you're allowed to sit on it because you're not moving it. Where's the machlokes? By smaller stones, but when you sit on them, you end up moving them. That's already total muktzah. This is the machlokes, how you make that not muktzah, if machshav is enough, or you have to do a ma'aser to make it not muktzah. Says the Magen Avram, even in that case, you don't have to make it not muktzah, because when you sit on something and it moves while you're sitting on it, anyway, it's mutter. What's his raya? He says in Sifir Aleph, you put straw on the bed, which is muktzah, you lie on the bed, and the straw moves as you're lying on the bed, it's mutter. Why? Because that's called tiltal b'gufay. Tiltal b'gufay, moving with your guf, is mutter. It's not tiltal kalachayad, it's called tiltal b'gufay. That's mutter. Same thing when you sit.
That's the normal way to be mentatal, though.
Doesn't make a difference. It's mutter. So you sit on stones, and they move. Says the Magen Avram, it's mutter to do it because you're not doing it for tiltal, you're sitting on it. Tiltal b'gufay is mutter. That's Magen Avram's condition. What?
That's why you sit on a car bumper if it moves a little bit.
We'll get to car in a second. Car may be more calm than this. So
More calm.
yeah, more lenient.
Yeah.
A car, this we're talking about stones that is not a kli. It's not a kli. A kli is also a taltal, period. Right? You have to be taltal it. A car is a kli. Right, we said before that no matter how big the kli is, it's still a kli. So a car is not karka. A car is a kli. What is it? It's kli shemach l'isser. Kli shemach l'isser is mutter to move it. No, even directly. It's our kufa, it's our kufa. So if you're sitting on the car as a chair, so it's our kufa. So you're allowed to use it. No issa to sit on the car on Shabbos. So I find a lot of people when they want to tie the shoe, they'll lean on a shoe instead of sitting on a car, which is a mistake. Right? They don't move muktzah. So they lean on a tree because they're not moving the muktzah. It's the opposite. The tree you're not allowed to use, and the car you're allowed to move. So the Magen Avram says that since we see over there by the kash that you're allowed to lie in the bed, even though there's straw in it, even though you move top of it, same thing over here. Says the Magen Avram, it's our here. The Gam Das Harambam. He says, "Pshat the Ram Tzarf L'Tzadjam Hayoyim, Kadesh Lo Yitztarach L'Liga Behem L'Mochar Kadas Rashi, Aval Mutter Leishav Alea B'Loi Sidur." You're allowed to sit on it without being Musader it. So he's learning, the Magen Avram is learning Pshat the Rambam. What does it mean Sidram? Like Rashi says, set it up before Shabbos. This is where you'll have a place to sit on Shabbos. Because to set it up on Shabbos is definitely not allowed to do. So the setting it up, according to the Magen Avram, is not setting up in order to make it not muktzah. It's just setting up that you should have a place to sit. Now, once you sit in it, even though you move it, according to the Magen Avram, it's mutter. That's what the Magen Avram passes. Sitting on muktzah, even though you move the muktzah, is mutter. And that's just sitting, according to the Magen Avram, it comes out anytime you have muktzah. You want to hang up your jacket on a light fixture. Light fixture is muktzah. Doesn't make a difference. Because if you're moving it, it's not called total. That's not called total. Total min atzad, it's mutter. According to the Magen Avram, anytime you're moving muktzah, not for the muktzah itself, you're moving it for tzarech davar heter, it's a mutter, and there's no problem, you're allowed to do it. And the Mishnah Berurah brings it down.
Did you say that a large stone is mutter because it's not a kli?
Now, not clear makes it more usher. A large stone, not clear, is more of a reason why it's usher. If that's sin, because it's not moving. But smaller stones, if they're not a kli and you sit on it, it's a problem because maybe a problem because you're moving them. Magen Avraham said it's not a problem.
So, but a large stone, I mean, even if it moves because it's not on a steady, that wasn't
That's a
your
problem.
intention.
It makes a difference. The Magen Avraham says it's not a problem. But other Achronim will see arguing the Magen Avraham. The Magen Avraham holds anytime something is muktzah, you sit on it, it's not a problem because it's not called being metaltal muktzah. Mishabur brings down the Magen Avraham.
You can also.
Okay, if you look at the Magen Avraham in the Mishabur Sifkan Pei Beis. Pei Beis. Mishnah Berurah Sifkan Pei Beis is going on the Sif before, on the Sif of Chiriya Shadeko. There's also Taltalon. Hainu Tiltal Mamish. Have it Sif Cotton Pei Beis. Also Taltalon. Hainu Tiltal Mamish. Avaleishev Aleim, but to sit on them. F'she'em ezizim and kaimam v'adai shari. If you're sitting on it when it doesn't move, for sure it's mutter. That's the Magen Avraham born in the beginning. Everyone agrees that it's mutter. V'afilu k'shemezizim ha'idei shivasai mitzadei ha'Magen Avraham v'hakol v'tiltol minatzadu. The Magen Avraham is mekel. Kol zman she'em ezizim b'yadayim u'matzasik b'meiri ha'son b'meiri shegam hu hiskim l'zeh. He is also masking to that. Rak shekosav d'v'mokam she'ein tzarich roi lifrosh mizeh. The place where there's no tzarich, it's kedai not to do it.
Not to do it.
So the Magen Avraham, Mishabur brings out the Magen Avraham. He says, Mikra Adin, it's mutter, but since there are poskim that argue, it's kedai lifrosh mizeh not to do it. That's what the Magen Avraham says. That's what the Mishabur says. Who argues in the Magen Avraham? There's a Rabbi Kiva Eiger in Siman Shin Chav Hei. In the beginning of Siman Shin Chav Hei, there's a Rabbi Kiva Eiger. Shin Chav Hei. So the Mog goes through over there about Muktzah, and he says the Muktzah is Mutter B'Hanah. You don't have enough for Muktzah. So the Kiva says over there, I'm from God and Yadeh, so Tes, Taz, I'm Chedushay Raj, Shabbos Tes, Shekosav, the Ikka, the Muktzah, Mutter B'Hanah, Muktzah is Mutter B'Hanah, but they Asru Elo L'Taltaloi Elo Achloi. You're not allowed to move it or to eat it. Afil L'Shtamash Ba B'Yadayim, to use it, you're going to have Laka, or Lismach B'Kara Mit, Afil B'Mokaimai, She'em Azizai, B'Mokaimai, so the Rashba says that to use the muktzah, if you're going to have blokah, or lisach v'kara mita, that's already asur. That's what the Kiva Eiger says. But then he says, "V'ayim Magen Avraham siman shin ches sifkat mem v'tzarachiyin." He brings the Magen Avraham. He says tzarachiyin in the Magen Avraham. The Kiva Eiger argues in the Magen Avraham, and he says that you're allowed to use muktzah, but we see someplace else that the shtamish for muktzah is also. What's the case? You want to be somich kari amiti. You want to put your bed on muktzah. It's awesome. If you want to use fadlaka, you want to use wood for a fire. So you ain't not going to move it. So let's say you put the fire there. You don't touch it. You light them. So you're not moving the muktzah. You're just lighting the muktzah. Is it asur? Says the Rashba, it's asur. You're not allowed to light wood that's muktzah on Shabbos. On Yom Tov. Shabbos anyway it's asur. On Yom Tov. Why not? Why can't you light wood on Yom Tov that's muktzah? You're not being metal to the muktzah. You're using the muktzah. So why can't you light it? Says the Kiva to arrive from over there that you can't be mishtamish for muktzah. You cannot go ahead and and use it. You're allowed to be nene for muktzah, you can have a noah for muktzah, but you can't be mishtamel, you can't use it. That's what Rabbi Baruch says. The mind of all the poskim hold that to be mishtamish b'muktzah without moving it is definitely mutter. Using muktzah without moving it is definitely muktzah. The only question is when you're using muktzah and you're moving it, but not regular, kalach hayad. Is that mutter or not? So there's a Shulchan Aruch Rav who answers Rabbi Kiva, and he says the hishtamshus of muktzah that's mutter is when you're not doing anything to the muktzah. The leika is asur because you're doing more than a hishtamshus. You're lighting it. You're doing something to the muktzah. You're changing the muktzah.
It stays the same.
To use muktzah that it's not changing it, that's when we say is mutter. But to go ahead and light it, even though you're not being metaltal it, that usage is you're changing the muktzah. Such a usage you can't do. That's his teretz. I'm not sure all
How does that answer the
Karimita won't answer. Karimita won't answer. No. So the Ma'aseh, most of the poskim, and Mishmur says that you should be machmir not to move muktzah, even though total kalachayat, you shouldn't do it. That's what the most of Mishmur says. You should be careful. But if someone's in the forest and needs to take a rest, and he has to sit down on something, there's only a rock there that when he sits on it is going to move, he has a head to sit on the rock. The Mishmur says, if it's tzorich, it could be mekel. It could be mekel. This is also very common, that when you take muktzah, and you put it down, you take a double heter, and you put it down on something. If you're putting it down on a double muktzah, you have to be careful. If the putting it down on the double muktzah is not going to move the muktzah, then you're okay. But if you're putting it down on a double muktzah and it's going to move the double muktzah, there you have to be careful. According to the Mishnah Berurah, if it's not a tzorich, you're not supposed to do it. But this is all, as we spoke about before with the car, this is all by muktzah machmas gufay. Something that's muktzah, it's not a kli, or muktzah machmas chesar kes. So today, we really find a muktzah machmas gufay. Everything we have in the houses today, nothing is muktzah machmas gufay. Everything is a kli. It's meant for something. You may have muktzah machmas gufay by chesar kes, something in makna not to move at all. Then we saw happens to be a machlokes, Pimigodim, and the other achronim. But if you're not to move it at all, and then you have certain things that have no usage on Shabbos Bechlal, and they're not called Chisham Machal Isser. Right? They have something like electronics is a big shadow. It could be it's Muktzah Machmas Gufay. Those type of things you have to be careful when you put it down not to move it. But otherwise, the things you have in your house, you want to put something down on a Chisham Machal Isser, there you don't have to worry about it. There is now worse than Muktzah Machmas Gufay, the Tzarech Kufa, the Tzarech Mechayma. Therefore, a car, you want to sit on the car, it shouldn't be any issue to sit on the car. I know the opposite from the Asfa, I'm not sure why. But the car to sit on the car is a regular Klisha Malachta Isser, and you're allowed to move the Tzarech Kufa and Mechayma. So even if you're going to hold, you're not allowed to move Muktzah, right, through Gufoy, but a Klisha Malachta Isser is definitely mutter. So therefore, a car should be mutter. Let's go for the thief. Yeah. It's fine. Next week we'll do thief. Next week we'll do thief. We'll go through. These are all things that are muktzah. How do you change its status to make it not muktzah? It's a little complicated, but